Welcome to Next Level Tech Arcade. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm here with Greg Mattson from Geffen and now Furman to talk about what's going on with those two iconic brands and the new things that they're bringing to market this year. But in order to make this more fun and interesting, Greg is going to school me on how to properly play Mario Kart. All right?
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, no worries. Fire it up. Let's get this game rolling. Now, for anybody who doesn't know Geffen and Furman brands, just kind of give a rundown, of what they're producing. And
Absolutely. So both the Furman and Geffen brands have been around for 40 plus years. We actually just celebrated this year the 50th anniversary of the Furman brand. And Geffen similarly has been around since the early 90s. That's right. So maybe not quite 4 years, but both of these, Furman is a class of its own in terms of power conditioning, very synonymous in the kind of studio musician side of the world. And then on the Geffen side, Geffen has been on the forefront of AV signal extension and distribution since their inception in the 90s, when we were still being run by our founder.
I mean, probably one thing that a lot of people don't know is like, you guys were the original AVoverIP company. I mean, you guys were doing AVoverIP before it was cool.
That is true. We have made a name for ourselves being early adopters of exciting, innovative technology. And quite frankly, we're looking to get back to that type of product offering for our customers.
You just passed, that was not fair. You know, you're supposed to let the interviewer win. Oh, who just smashed the crud out of me. Yeah, and you know, what's kind of cool is, and this is a great story because you guys, are kind of in it every year, but you're responsible for the Super Bowl.
Yes. So for the last 7 years, Geffen products have been the backbone of enabling the Super Bowl broadcast. So we always make sure that we have staff on site, although in all fairness, they usually volunteer. But yeah, we've been very lucky to be part of.
So what you're saying is Aaron made you go this year? You didn't give a choice?
I didn't get to go this year.
What? He didn't take you?
No, I did not get to go this year.
What a goon!
I will be making my that request probably next year.
Yes, because I offered to go in your place and he said no. So I think he doesn't want to let any of us.
That's right. It's just them.
It's just the Aaron show.
Aaron and Amir. That's all only people who get to go.
So you came on board just recently with the company.
Yeah, that is true. So I've only been with NICE, our parent company, since November of last year. I've been around the installed AV space for quite a while at this point in time, almost over 20 years. Now that I'm thinking about it. And most recently, I was with QSC, working on the QSys product line.
Nice.
And prior to that, prior to working for QSC, I actually was with Crestron.
I will hold that against you. Don't worry.
I've gotten to see. I've been very lucky with the people that I've worked with in my career and the types of things that I've been able to do. And this new endeavor with NICE and Geffen and the Pro AV division, I think is really an exciting opportunity for seeing if we can take this legacy AV brand and bring them back into relevance.
I'm a little disappointed because I started off in first place and ended up at in sixth. That's not, but
That's not too.
But I started off in first place throughout at least that first. And I don't know how. I don't even remember you passing me. That's the worst part about it. It was just like suddenly, I'm not in first place anymore.
Yeah, you gotta learn your drifts, and then if you anytime you go off a jump, if you hit one of the bumpers, you will actually get a small boost if you time it just right once you hit the ground.
Drift is which one? Is that?
It's either of these shoulder buttons.
Okay, shoulder. Okay, I thought I was drifting just a minor bit. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, get us another one. You were brought on specifically for one reason, though, which was to develop new products.
Absolutely. So and we are.
And this before we even jump into that, we can probably say and the Geffen brand's been around a really long time. But there hasn't been a lot of new releases and new development in the past couple of years, and so you coming in is very exciting, just because of that.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right on the money. So we just, or about to actually, we launched it and demoed it at ISE this past year, but our new Gen 3 AVoverIP endpoints, so one transmitter, one receiver, those are the first new product introduction that the Geffen brand has had in almost 3 years. We're really excited about it. This is a kind of a much needed update to our product offering in terms of kind of, once again, contemporizing some of our AVoverIP technology. We are, with the Gen 3 transmitter and receiver, we're supporting HDMI 2.0, as well as USB-C alt mode video, and all of it with minimal industry standard latency, support for high bitrate audio encoding formats, HDR, and this is just a much needed advancement of some of our key product lines.
Phenomenal. When you look at the industry right now, and let's just step away from Geffen for a second, what's going on in the industry as a whole? What are you seeing?
So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things, and my background, probably, I will admit that there's maybe a little bit of bias, but we're at a point right now where I feel like there's a lot of entities in the AV space are making platform plays, ecosystem plays. And I do very much agree with that strategy, and I think you'll start to see better brand synergy between Furman and Geffen as this Pro AV division really starts to hit its stride. But we want to be an integral and respected partner in these wider integrated systems. And to that point, I'm trying to lean heavily into providing high quality diagnostic information for the AV signals that Geffen is responsible for.
When you say diagnostic, what is it you want to be able to provide?
I basically, especially as we start talking about trends, I mean, it's not a new trend, but the last 10 years or so, we've seen a reduction in on-site AV support personnel in favor of centralized monitoring and management dashboards, control systems, and other abilities for enabling remote troubleshooting. Well, that remote troubleshooting is only as easy as the information that you're able to get out of the devices that you're communicating with. And to that point, I want to make sure that Geffen is a leader in terms of providing clear diagnostic information to aid in troubleshooting your signal chain.
So in that space, when we look at sort of that monitoring, is there, is that QSC controlling that space? Is that a little bit of Crestron? Who's kind of dominating that window?
So Crestron and QSC, amongst others, there are a number of primary players that have been emerging within that monitoring and management side of things. Crestron's been doing it forever, as far back as as the Room View product, and then Fusion, and now the oh my gosh. I suddenly had a brain fart on that.
That's what the game was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But all the way to their existing monitoring management platform. QSC and the QSys product line is leaning very heavily into their Reflect monitoring and management platform. They're also trying to move other items into the cloud alongside of that. And yeah, those are the companies, those are the people that I want to make sure that we're being the best partner that we can be in those integrated systems.
Okay, so the power slides work. Thank you. I got first place that time. So we're 1-1. What do you think's going on in the AV over IP space? Because you've got some interesting acquisitions happening. You've got a lot of these new open standard products that are really starting to grow. And I'm assuming the new product that you are releasing is probably going to be built on what, A-Speed or?
Yeah, so the new Gen 3 products is built on A-Speed. We're seeing I feel like it's another edition of the format wars where in terms of HDMI versus DisplayPort versus XYZ in digital video distribution, we're seeing similar stuff on the network distribution of video, and I think there's pros and cons to both. And to that point, I do believe that there are some organizations, including Geffen, on our product line, on our product roadmap, where we're trying to provide a certain level of interoperability with our standards. It's something that you and I have actually talked about.
Yeah.
But we think that that's important, that we can, once again, in terms of how we partner with other pieces of an integrated system.
Because you don't see a lot of the vendors that are taking on A-Speed collaborating together.
Right.
They're kind of like, they sort of, in fact, I would think most of them don't even mention that they're using A-Speed. Right? They just, hey, we have a product, it's an AVoverIP, and that's as much as they ever say.
Well, and the other thing is, I think that interoperability point is, I understand that all of us have to protect our own interests. You know, we don't want to accidentally shoot ourselves in the foot with the type of products that we're
Oh, sure.
But, you know, you have some of these not even necessarily emerging standards, but you have technology faces like SDVOE, where I think, and I love all the SDVOE people. I'll look at the camera for that one. But that's one of those things where you have, it's a standard that a bunch of companies are adopting, but now all those companies are adding their own special sauce on top of the,
Well, yeah, because there was always this statement that the SDVOE could play nice amongst vendors, but then they make adjustments to it and the other vendor can't connect it.
Exactly. So leaning into those standards-based technologies, SDVOE to a certain extent, we don't have any of that on our roadmap quite yet, but it is something that people are starting to ask for from us, from Geffen. But alongside the A-Speed, continuing to work in HD-based T, and then bringing on more generic open streaming standards, H.264, just 265. I could see us having a more generic JPEG 2000 encoder at some point in time. But transcoding and signal conversion, I think, are some of the things that I find the most interesting in terms of kind of trying to unify these systems.
No, I think transcoding is going to be really important because which one of you just... Oh, it was you that got it, not me. How did that happen? It was floating in front of me.
You got lucky.
Bad luck. Yes, finally. I think we've got all these standards, and we're going into environments where these standards are going to start getting mixed. Having some kind of product sitting in the middle that says, hey, you can take your SDVOE and flip it to, whatever, be it, A-Speed or IPMX or something else, without having to go one box to another necessarily, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to be a really important piece as times move forward, because you're not always going to be able to say this environment is all one or the other, right? There's going to be times when there's going to be a mix, when we're taking maybe a broadcast environment, merging it with an AV environment.
Yeah, and even in the history of Geffen, we used to have a little multi-format converter box when we were starting to see the analog sunset come into play. So as a legacy, we've already set a standard of being able to be that great unifier. Now it's really just a matter of bringing us into contemporary infrastructure where these streaming protocols, and we've talked about A-Speed, we've got IPMX, NDI is another one of those things that we definitely think we need to be able to accommodate those solutions as well, to not only regain relevance, but maintain it.
Yeah, well, so the big message is Geffen's back.
Yep.
You've got great stuff coming. You've got a legacy and history in this industry that helped really steer it into the AVoverIP space. So lots of good coming in.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a fun year for you all.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is gonna be, we are preparing to make a gigantic splash at Infocom. I mean, our first Pro AV emergence was at NAMM with the Furman brand. But in terms of Geffen, our big splashy reemergence is Infocom, where we are currently, we have 9 new products in development. As I said earlier, the Gen 3, that's our first 2 new SKUs in 3 years. Now we're going to be releasing at least another 9 programs.
And that's a really important differentiator right there, which is, Pro AV, because when NICE acquired you guys, they're really a home AV company, not a pro. So this renewed vision to go, hey, we're back into the Pro AV space. We're going to, own this and dominate it again.
Absolutely.
That's killer.
And yeah, our leadership, they even represented it fairly well recently when we were talking about the standing up the Pro AV division, where NICE, their comfort zone was in that residential home management side of things. So after the acquisition, they continued to bolster what their core products work. And now that market is established and they've done their rebranding and everything's all niceified, now we are getting significant reinvestment into some of these other brands like Geffen, like Furman.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Well, listen, there's more in this conversation, but you're going to have to probably find us at Infocom to catch the rest of it. In the meantime, thanks so much for being on Next Level Tech, the arcade version, and we'll see you on the next episode.